Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in today's webinar, and I apologize for the technical difficulties that we've experienced today. I think we're on track here. Just going to talk about a bunch of topics, and appreciate your time. Again, my name is Brian Wallachy. I'm one of the Senior National Account Managers here at FarmTech. I'm coming in today with some extensive background in heating and cooling and specialize in barn and greenhouse heating and cooling as well. Before coming to FarmTech, I have had extensive background in logistics and warehousing and kind of putting costs associated to heating and cooling. So I have a really good understanding of how heating and cooling do affect your bottom line. And I try and bring that to the forefront of when presenting a heating or cooling package to anybody who's interested. My contact information is below. I can be reached at extension 108 via the phone, or you have my email address. Feel free to contact me on an individual basis if you have some technical specs needed, or if you need a heating system designed. I'd be more than happy to help you out. And I really appreciate your time today spent with us. So we're going to cover a few things in our webinar today. Again, it's barn and greenhouse heating, and this is a really timely event here that we're having today because it is starting to become cold out, if not already cold, as we've experienced some snow already here in Connecticut. I'm going to cover some background about our company. We're going to talk about why heating is important. We're going to talk about sizing up both greenhouses and barn heating scenarios, which is going to be quite interesting if you're new to those things. We're going to be talking about forced air heating. We're going to talk about radiant heating, and we're also going to talk about some alternative options for heating in these structures, including radiant heating and infrared, which is pretty cutting edge here for lots of different structures. And then, some reasons why to choose FarmTech, as we are in a competitive environment. We do appreciate your business, and again, we'd love to try and help you out individually. A little bit about our company. We've been around since 1979. We're U.S. owned and operated. I sit about 25 feet away from the owner. We're the leading manufacturer of horticultural and agricultural materials, greenhouses, fabric buildings, and about a host of 30,000 products. Above you can see our home office here in South Windsor, Connecticut. That's where the company was started. Our owner was a poultry farmer. And then our location in Dyersville, Iowa, which is in the home of hog country out there, which is northeast Iowa, home of the Field of Dreams. And, if you ever are in the area, feel free to stop by, as we have a lot of cool things at both locations. So I'd like to introduce why heating is important. Today's day and age is, again, very competitive on the sales aspect, but also in your growing or livestock raising aspects. It's definitely important for animal health and production levels. And we look to prescribe a heating method that's going to provide optimal growing environments for your animals, whether it be for cattle, horses, poultry, etc. We can really give some great input on what we think really works. And, it's definitely going to impact your bottom line, because we want to make sure that we provide you an efficient heating source and something that's not going to really affect, with the rising cost of fuel costs, your pocket. That's one thing that we focus here on. So the first kind of topic we're going to talk about barn heating. You can see some examples of some traditional structures on here, pole and steel buildings, and also a couple examples of fabric structures that we manufacture here, and we can give you some examples and how to heat and really maintain these types of buildings in colder climates throughout the winter. So I want to talk about sizing our system. These are some basic questions that we would ask during a conversation or via email about your specific barn or your building you're looking to heat. The basic question of what are your dimensions of the building. We also want to know what your building is constructed of. If you have cinder block walls, if it's steel building with a cement slab, if it's a pole barn with insulation, etc. We need to know those types of things to be able to provide a general basis. We would definitely want to know what kind of R values you've insulated to. We would want to know what you're actually going to be raising, whether it's livestock, whether it's horses, etc. We would want to know what the building needs to be maintained at for the animal health and safety and production levels for your individual animals. We want to know what type of area you're located in, so we know what the nighttime temperatures are. And then we'd also want to know in that structure where the doors are, where the windows are, what the dimensions of the curtains may be, because that will all affect, which direction we go and which type of heat that we provide. So one of the most common ways to heat in a barn, it's been around for a long time, is forced air. You're going to heat the air. This is a very quick and inexpensive, on the front end way to install a heating system. It is probably, again, the most common type of heating, where you're going to introduce warm air, typically through a blower unit with a heat exchanger. It's going to be available from us in propane, natural gas, oil-fired, steam, or electric. It's really great for sealed buildings, meaning that ones that include high R values in the roof and in the sidewalls. The one thing I would comment, depending on the size and dimensions of your structures, sometimes if you have high ceilings, forced air and barns aren't always the best scenario, especially if you have some concrete floors that we can utilize to carry heat mass. But very traditional. You'll see a lot of barns heated in this manner, and one common way that we do offer for heating. So for forced air heaters here, our most popular option is our Modine fired units. We offer several varieties. We're going to give you a little background about Modine. They're made in the United States, which is very good in comparison to some of the other similar models there. They've been around since 1916, and they were really the innovator of this style heater. They've been copied many times, and most of the other competitive heaters out there are made in either Mexico or overseas, so with a similar design as these. They can be also combined with vent tubes, and we do sell the adapter kits, which this will throw up to maybe 30 or 40 feet of heat. But if you have a longer barn, we use vent tubes with an inlet fan that will blow down the whole length of your structure and carry that heat throughout. These units are power vented in all three of these models. The hot dog heater, which is on the top left of the pictures, are low profile. They're extremely lightweight. They're an 85% efficiency rated unit. They are power vented, and we do carry anything from 24,000 BTU up to 125,000 BTU input on these models. Very common. I would say that generally when sizing these, we would use anywhere from maybe 25 to 40 BTUs per square foot as a general rule of thumb. And these are great in a lot of scenarios. I actually have an uncle who has a garage and workshop that has one of these hot dog heaters, and I can personally vouch for the actual heat that they can throw. Very popular. The next model on the right is the traditional power vented heater. These are called the PDP line. These are going to be used in larger scale applications. We have units on this model up to 400,000 BTUs. These are a little bit more heavier weight, but they are intended to carry more access. And these are large scale heating registers. This unit again is also available in natural gas. And we also do offer the high altitude kits, orifices, where these can be used at altitudes above 2,000 feet above sea level. The last model in these power vented Modine heaters is the Affinity 93. Now this is a condensing model, and this will give you a 93% efficiency rating, which is top of the line on the market, very hard to duplicate. They're available up to 310,000 BTUs, and this heater has been increasingly popular lately. A little bit higher initial cost, but as you use this heater over the years, you gain back that cost in fuel. Obviously, fuel costs, whether it be propane, natural gas, oil, have all been affected in our recent economy. And as fossil fuels continue to rise, this would be a good option, as you'll know that you'll be pretty much at the maximum efficiency rating. Some alternatives that Modine offers are the hot water steam unit. A lot of folks use these. They can be connected to either wood boilers or tankless boilers. We do offer the tankless boilers here as well. And they're going to have a heat register inside that will run the hot water or the steam through. And there's an air blower behind that will give the intent of the heat throw over those coils. We do have those up to 340,000 BTUs, and which are really nice. You can have multiple multiple buildings with this style heater and working off a one wood boiler or a tankless boiler. It's very common. A really good option for those folks who have invested in a wood outside boiler. That's a very common practice. We also do offer traditional heating fuel fired units. You can use oil grade 1 or 2 with these. This is on the right. These are nice replacements for older heater models that were very common in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that are already set up for oil heat. And again, we offer these up to about 185,000 BTUs. But again, made in USA, been our chosen brand for years and years here at FarmTech. Now we get into some electric forced air. If you don't necessarily have access to natural gas, or if you're not looking to spend a little bit higher cost for propane to be on site, we do offer some electric units. These are definitely popular in places, sometimes on job sites, sometimes on temporary barns or run-in sheds where you want to just maybe have it there for the season. On the top right, you'll see our Heatwave Salamander. These are offered in both a stationary, hang-on-the-wall style mounting or mobile units. They are available in 208, 240, and 480 voltage. Very common. I've actually had some personal experience with these on loading docks in warehouses, so they definitely throw off a whole lot of heat for not only animals but for workers, if that were the case. They're definitely very popular used in construction sites. So if you're actually building a barn, they're quite popular for that as well throughout the winter. We do offer some portable units down below. Again, these are different voltages depending on which model. We do offer a portable unit in the center there that's quite popular. Again, these will have a heating element with an air blower that's going to throw the hot air in the direction that you'd like it. And so basically it's very directional. But again, you can pick it up, move it around, and it is very portable. Now, another style of heating that we are very keen on in a lot of scenarios, infrared heating. Infrared heating is probably the most common way that we use for heating in clear span fabric structures, obviously our mainstay of business. They are also very popular in chicken houses, in hog houses, and any building with concrete floors. Infrared heaters are going to radiate warm infrared heat to the concrete surface below and any object. So that could be an animal, it could be a person, or it could be the concrete slab. That concrete slab at that point will then become a thermal mass and heat up and radiate the heat back upward as well. So it's definitely a very effective way to heat a building that necessarily might not have high R values, so you wouldn't have any air leakage problems. These are great for large area heating via tube heaters and also some spot heating, and I can kind of go into the differences. When we talk about spot heating, these are quite popular in bay areas. These are also quite popular in right over workbenches. We do these in both natural gas, propane, and also electric. Sunstar makes our models, which is very nice. They're a great respected brand out there. They definitely work well again in areas for right over top of someone who might be working at a bench for long periods of time, or at bay doors when the doors open. These can continue to heat. We do have these in models up to 155,000 BTUs on our ceramic heaters. And for those of you that are also thinking about some poultry applications and hog applications, we do offer a full assortment of brooder lights for those as well. So you can see me on an individual basis, and I can kind of help you out with that as well. Now, I had touched upon our Sunstar heaters. These are quite popular. We have these available in our U-tube or straight tube heaters, and I can go into detail based upon an individual type of application on these. We offer the Tough Guy series of Sunstar, which are specifically rated with tubes that are treated for high ammonia locations or highly corrosive or moist environments, which barns tend to be based upon animal waste and the type of environment that they live in. We do quite a bit of these in hog houses, poultry facilities, workshops, different types of warehouse areas to cover a broad spectrum of heating. We offer these tube heaters in both natural gas and propane. We do have a model that mounted as low as 8 feet above the floor. So if you have some lower ceilings, we have some models that can accommodate that. And we do have a full assortment of all hanging hardware, reflective kits, the vent caps for venting these. These again are power vented, but a very efficient way for any building that has concrete floors. We really recommend these as they are quite popular. And again, extremely popular in our clearspan fabric buildings. The folks that I send out with heaters on the front end, this is a style heater I mostly use. Another more popular option here lately, and there's a lot of buzz in the heating world, is about radiant heat. I'm one of the specialists here in radiant heating. It is a method of heating a building with heat concentrated in the floor, and most common is in a concrete slab. We use PEX tubing that's embedded into the concrete foundation, or in some scenarios under wood or tile floors, meaning within the floor joist. And essentially we use a hydronic system where heated water is going to run through the PEX tubing, radiate into the slab, and then that slab mass will at that point become thermal and radiate the heat upward. The nice thing with radiant heating is that it produces a very even heat throughout the slab and the area. The whole floor is going to be heated, and anywhere that you walk is going to be all essentially one temperature. It's nice because it actually will concentrate all the heat at your feet or at your desk level or potentially at your animal's level, which is very important. The nice thing with radiant heat too is it's extremely efficient as compared to some other forced air or potential baseboard offerings. And in a lot of scenarios, and a lot of folks who use this will have a concrete slab, maybe in a bedded pack scenario for dairy cattle or alpacas. It keeps the actual pack extremely dry, which is super for health, and you don't nearly have to change your bedded pack as much and clean out. So huge benefit there, especially with the new structures that we're doing. When we talk about radiant heating in barns, we can potentially set up different zones if you have different calving areas versus some full-grown areas, so it can be catered to that. And I can do a full calculation based upon your building's BTU needs and what type of livestock raising you're going to be doing. And the other nice thing is a lot of folks get with me to buy materials in stages. You can have a barn set up for radiant heating down the road if you didn't want to take the plunge on the front end, or kind of while you pour your slab, put it in there, and then when the building's finished, call me for the rest of it. The nice thing is we have a full assortment of instructions and resources that I can offer, including videos that come with this in terms of installing the tubing and filling the systems full of the water and glycol. So it's a very great way to heat, and we're really excited. We actually use this in some of our warehouses in Iowa for heating the buildings, and it's quite comfortable. So that kind of concludes our barn applications for our heaters. I'd like to take some time and go over our greenhouse heating options. This is really the time of year. Woke up this morning, it was about 30 degrees here at my house in Connecticut, and it really reminds you that a lot of people actually do grow throughout the full season, and you have the potential to be able to grow tomatoes or grow cucumbers, or even in cooler environments, maybe even leafy greens, and slightly heat a greenhouse. It's very popular, and we have a lot of folks doing that today. When calculating heat for a greenhouse, obviously we don't have the higher R values that you see in traditional buildings. So the real basis of how we calculate these are obviously your dimensions. This would be your width, your length. This would also be your height, potentially your arch dimension, what your sidewalls are for height. That way I can get an idea of the cubic feet on the inside of your greenhouse. The next thing I would want to know is for what you're growing, whether it be tomatoes, whether it be squash, whether it be lettuce, what is your required temperature? And not necessarily just during the day, but also at night, because that's typically when greenhouse heaters in the wintertime are used, is the main temperatures at night. The next thing I'd want to know is where are you located? What's your growing zone? What kind of low temperature at night could you experience? Because a really cold night throughout the season, if your heater isn't calculated properly, you could lose a whole crop, and that could be very damaging to your business and an entire season. And so we really want to take precaution and type of covering is on the outside of your greenhouse. We typically recommend, if you're doing any heating at all, using a double layer film setup or a twin wall polycarbonate, something that's really going to retain heat. Single layer of film that you see on high tunnels or a single layer of corrugated polycarbonate really doesn't provide a whole lot of insulation value, and you would actually save a lot on fuel costs if you went to those two double layer or twin wall options. And it's very easy to see and calculate the number of BTUs needed to heat those two different structures, which is very important. So that gives you an idea of how I calculate and what I can help you out with. The most traditional heating method in greenhouses is using a forced air method, where you're actually going to be heating the air that the plants are in, essentially heating an area. Um, this is the most traditional. You'll see pictures there of Modine heaters that we offer, both the high efficiency power vented model on the left and then the affinity model on the right. We offer these in natural gas, propane, and electric again. The nice thing with the Modine hot dog heaters, again, they are lightweight, and we sell all the accessories to be able to hang these models. Typically, they're hung with threaded rod right from the rafters of the greenhouse. Some people do elect to mount these on a shelf system, which are also okay as well. They all are power vented, so they'll be vented with flue pipe outside. The nice thing, too, is we offer units that are designed for backyard and hobby greenhouses as well. So we like to support the smaller scale as well, so you don't necessarily have to get into a commercial grade heater. Another popular way to heat greenhouses, again, this is going off of what I had said earlier about the buzzword radiant heating, is in a greenhouse. We have a lot of folks installing PEX tubing into the concrete floors of greenhouses and have great success lowering their heating costs. Some folks do combine this with traditional forced air heating, and they have lowered their production costs and their fuel costs, where they can make more profit on actually selling their plants, their vegetables, etc. The nice thing with radiant heating in a greenhouse is that it's going to keep an even temperature again, and you're actually focusing that heat right at the root mass. So if you put pots directly on a concrete slab, or if you have lower tables, all that heat's going to be concentrated right at the floor. Whereas forced air, that heat does rise, and if you have a 12-foot high greenhouse, you're going to have warmer temperatures up at the roof where we have nothing growing, and lower temperatures down at the ground level where you are growing. So it's a very popular way here for heating. The radiant heat does give you the opportunity to grow all year round. We've had some folks do experiment with this, where they're going to install the PEX tubing right in the soil in their raised beds. Again, concentrating that heat and that hydronic water that's warmed right at the ground level and right in at the roots. So it's very popular. Then you also see in the pictures above that we've had some people install this PEX tubing right under their benches. So these folks, have run the hydronic heated water right through the PEX, have it right on top of their pots or trays. Great for starting seedlings, and it's almost the same principle or idea as seedling heat mats or soil warming cables, but very popular, and we have a lot of folks doing that now. Again, we do know that there's a lot of other companies out there. We offer a lot of things here at FarmTech in terms of calculating heating, cooling. We can give you an idea of how many BTUs a greenhouse heater can be, instead of kind of taking a stab in the dark and saying, I think maybe a 200,000 BTU model will work. That's one thing that really separates us. I'm definitely very proficient at doing that. Again, like I had said earlier, we do offer 30,000 products. Makes it very easy for me to come up with a scenario that's going to be effective, efficient, economical for you as well. And we obviously want to keep that in mind. We don't necessarily just want to send out a heater that's going to be expensive if it's not going to pay you back in returns. We do offer a lot of things along with these heaters. We sell all the thermostats. We do offer a lot of different controls that can control these buildings, iGrow systems. We do sell those where you can actually even control your temperatures on a greenhouse or a building right from your smartphone through the iGrow system, which is very cool, and a lot of folks are doing that. So which is really nice, and you can monitor cutting edge. That's what we try to do, and we're always striving to be, ahead of the game, so to speak, in terms of heating. So it's a very popular thing. And being here in Connecticut, we fully understand that. And in Iowa, we get cold weather here, and obviously we're looking at some of that here in the near future. One great thing too, with all of these, looking at our season coming up, is that we do offer in-house financing. So for any larger purchases, and I use that term loosely because we do offer a financing package starting at $400 and $800, going on up. We can get you into potential heating system. We do offer interest-free terms upward of 5 years, and actually definitively for 3 years you get 0% interest. And then we also do offer 4 or 6 months same as cash as well, with no interest, no payments, no monthly fees whatsoever. So if you're looking to get into a heater potentially to try and grow all year round, raise some additional livestock, now can be something that you can take advantage of here with our company. Again, I do really appreciate that you attended our webinar today. Feel free to ask some questions. We're going to go through a question and answer period here. But please notate my extension below. I would really love for you to contact me directly. My extension is 108, and you have my email address there as bwallachy@farmtech.com. Thank you very much. Well, thanks everybody again. Appreciate your time spent talking about warming up for winter and our solutions for barn and greenhouse heating. A couple of the questions that did come in from the attendees here. Do you offer insulation to use in conjunction with the heaters? Yes, great question here. We do offer some different varieties of insulation. We do offer a two-component or single-component closed cell foam insulation, which is quite common in a lot of buildings. A very high-tech way to insulate your barn, which is super efficient, which we do offer. We do also offer a TechFoil radiant insulation, which can be used in a variety of ways, on walls, ceilings, under slab applications that a lot of folks install into agriculture and horticulture buildings. And we do offer some greenhouse insulation, as well as internal bubble wrap that a lot of folks do put up this time of year to help increase their heat retention through the daylight hours, and bring that solar gain into the night times as well. But great question. Definitely should be something that be addressed as well, and that we can help provide a solution for potentially along with the heater. Next question here is, can radiant heat be installed in an older building, or does the building have to be new? Well, radiant heat can definitely be retrofitted. The most common way, again, is to put radiant heat into a slab of concrete. So you could potentially pour another slab, or if there is no slab existing, into that building. But also, if you do have floor joists specifically in the building, the radiant heat can be run in between those joists and run through the tank and spoiler, same way. So good question there. Thank you. Next question is there a certain equation used when determining how many infrared heaters used in a building for spot heating? Yes, we actually have a program here that we use that will calculate what your dimensions are, what your heating needs are in terms of what temperature you'd like to maintain, and or if you give a layout of your structure and where employees might be, I can determine how many infrared tube heaters or spot heaters to use. It's definitely something I couldn't spend explaining the actual mathematics behind it currently, but it's a nice tool that we have here, and I'd be able to kind of do that on an individual basis. So next question is, what is the difference between a tough guy U-tube heater and a tough guy straight tube heater? Great question. Straight tube heaters are used in large areas, typically more narrow scenarios, where you're going to hang a heater and run it, say, 40 foot in length. U-tube heaters are actually a more common solution for us, and the reason being is that on a U-tube heater, you actually get a more even heat. You still will have the same 40-foot length for comparison's sake of the tube, but as that gas travels down the tube on a straight tube heater, it doesn't fire as hot. So at the beginning of the tube heater, it may be now you have all your hot air at the beginning of the tube, basically paired up with the coolant, and as it goes down the tube, it actually provides more heating coverage. So, if at all possible, we do try and use U-tubes versus straight tubes, but there are certain scenarios that we'd like to cover larger areas with the straight tube as well. The next question is, can your heaters be zoned or hooked up to a thermostat? Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much every heater we kind of went over today can be thermostatically controlled, or definitely can be thermostatically controlled. We have simple thermostats that are dial thermostats that can be used, and we have a great selection of timers if that were something that would help you out. But they can also be zoned as well. So if you only want to heat one section of a greenhouse or one section of a barn, if there's a potential open stall or a set of open stalls on one side of the barn, we can definitely set that up to heat that way and provide some solutions for that as well. Great question. Do people ever run radiant heat in tubes of soil or raised beds? Yep. We did definitely kind of cover that topic. I would say that it's a more common practice that people are experimenting with. I don't have any data in terms of efficiency or how it specifically affected their production, but it is a very common thing that I've been sending out currently with half-inch tubing for folks that doing that. Is definitely something that can be utilized instead of putting it in the concrete, putting it right in the soil. And we've had a lot of folks actually rave about it and actually install it into multiple greenhouses that they own, and it's been very productive. So I can definitely say it definitely is something that we can chat about on an individual basis as well. Okay. I think that's all the questions that we had today. Again, I appreciate your